So something else that we always talk about, because you know when you lost your mom and then I lost my brother, oh my God, like even when I just think about that season, those 2 years and all the losses that we just took, you know, amongst ourselves, something that I always say is that your ability to cope through grief has everything to do with your faith system and your belief system and how anchored you are in it. So I was, you know, Kobe Bryant, that, I don't know, like the whole nation was affected by that. Like when Nipsey Hussle died, that was, you know, that was also a tough time. But I was in Petaluma, California, and it was a white dude in there crying, like about watching the news, you know, about Kobe Bryant and just really pouring out how much that affected him. Yeah. And recently when they had the funeral, all over the press, you see people talking about how Vanessa was wrong because she didn't mention his parents, or, you know, they didn't acknowledge them. And I remember I was talking about this with you earlier about when you were planning your mom's memorial service, you were very intentional and specific about certain things, certain people, certain stuff that you didn't want, because that's your final goodbye. Right. And so I just wanted to get your thought. How did you feel, or what did you think about, did you feel like she should have included them in her speech, or she should have let them talk? You know, what did you think about that?
Well, I had this conversation with Michelle earlier, and I didn't know. She let me know. It wasn't organized by her. It was by somebody else. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. But still, I told her, even in the end, even if it was, so what?
Right.
That's her husband.
Right.
That's her child. Yes, he had parents. There was a rocky relationship that people all know. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, nobody is going to tell me what I'm going to do for my husband and my children. It's just not going to happen. Right. And also, maybe they didn't want to talk. Maybe they didn't want to be in it. Maybe they didn't want to be in the spotlight. So you never know. And nowadays with social media, everybody has an opinion, whatever.
Right.
But I had some situations with my mom, and it was really difficult because it was like, it was me and my mom and my dad, you know, the twins, and it was this, and then everybody else was in Oklahoma. So it was like being torn between what to do. Where are we gonna have it? I mean, it was the most draining 3 weeks that I've ever experienced in my life, because just like a wedding, you're like, you don't want to upset anybody. Mm-hmm. And so you have all these different emotions going on, and you're like, you know, people are literally pulling at you. They pulling at you.
Very selfishly at times.
Very selfishly, and they're like, me, it's all me. And so one thing that I did was, you know, even though my dad was her husband, it was still kind of like I had to be the person. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I don't have time. Right. Like I have no time for myself. And so people were like, hey, did you go in your mom's office? Can you look and see if there's a piece of paper? No, I'm not. Mm-hmm. Like this is the wrong time for that. Yeah. So people seem to forget that you're trying to plan a funeral, people are coming over, people are bringing food, you know, and you're trying to entertain. And so me and my dad were like, 9 o'clock. That's it, 9 o'clock, everybody has to leave. Eric stayed in Sacramento because that was his very first hype performance that he did. But Papa was in that house with me the entire week, Shantae, and I barely seen my son. Like, wow. It was just like 2 ships passing. It was just so many people coming in and out. And so you have to say, this is what it is. This is what I want. Okay, you're going to be hurt, but at the end of the day, you know, and it was, a lot of the anger was coming towards me because they couldn't get to my dad. And so it was like I was the punching bag. Even though those relationships have been resolved and we've talked about it, it was hurtful. Right. Like, how dare you?
Right.
And
at a time like that.
And then a lot of my grandma was there, you know, for that whole, from that Monday to I think that Thursday or that Friday. But there was nothing that we did that we didn't run by her. It was like, we were very specific, and we were trying to find a time like, hey, with Southwest, I didn't work there at the time, but it was like, we only ship bodies on this day. So we're trying to organize. And so it is a lot, and you have to stay anchored, and you have to say no. If you have to say no, you have to say no. And so I did not want my mom's funeral to be a circus. I did not want my mom's funeral to be about, hey, this is about me, this is about, and I understand she did a lot. She did a lot for the community. She did a lot for people. And, even with people, at church and her nonprofit, but I needed it to be very specific. I did not want, because I was like, this is one of 2 funerals in 1 week.
Right.
And we need to get together.
Yeah, literally planning 2 funerals.
Because we could have just took her body back and just said, we'll just deal with y'all when we get back and deal with my family. But I was like, I wanted to do something for the people here, because she spent all that, since she was 16.
Right.
So, having Bernice represent the Spivey family, because they were a very pivotal part of our life. And having one person from her job, SCYA, her friend Candace, having Mother Holland, which was her mother in Christ, like, it was really, really important. Eric wanted to talk, and then I spoke, and then another one of the gentlemen from their church, but I had to be very specific. If I could have done things differently, I would not have done it.
I know that's right.
I wouldn't have. Because even with going over an obituary, I still miss somebody. And even to this day, it still bothers me. And I'm like, I went over it 30 times and I still miss somebody.
Girl.
So you have to be, in that moment, you have to say, this is what I want. And I don't care, just like a wedding, this is what I want. And I don't care if you hurt your feelings. Okay, well then don't come then. Right. Even to the morning of my mom's funeral, somebody was calling my dad with mess, and I'm like, you need to hang up the phone. Like, this is like, you need to let it go. It's not the time. So I am a strong person. I always have been a strong person, but my mom's death rocked me to my core, and it still is something that I still have a very difficult time wrapping my mind around, like, why. Right. But because I've had so much death, I've gotten a lot of numbness. Kobe Bryant's death shook me to my core again, and I'm like, how does this happen? I know this is not the same thing, Tay, but the kind of job that I do, that can happen. That can happen. And so I was just like, I literally had got off of church that morning, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, how does this happen? Like, how does this happen? And then you think about his wife and his family and everybody, and me and Joe were just looking at each other like, but I think with people that are pivotal, not that they're immortal or they can't be touched, it's something about them that you're like, them? Yeah, even though you don't know them, you're like, how does that happen?
We were in Sacramento. We had a retreat with our chapter coordinators, and so we went to Yard House. I love Yard House.
Me too. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. And so it's right there at the Golden.
We stay in the Holiday Inn right there.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's why
I love it over there. And we were in there, and they had all the big, and I think it was the first game after that happened. Man, we was at that table balling. Yeah. And you was looking at like the waiters and stuff, and they was getting emotional, like. It was definitely,
I recorded it and didn't watch it on that Tuesday. I watched it like a week later, and I was like, just the tributes and everything. But even with the memorial, I mean, I was like 5 minutes in, and I was just like,
me too.
I was understand how this woman got up and did this, and however she wanted to do it, that's her business.
That is it.
I've had conversations with my husband. I added him to the burial thing with me and the kids. And I said, I need to know what you want. I need to know how you want it.
See, that's smart.
And I need to know because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be fighting with anybody about how I'm going to bury my husband. I understand that's your son or your brother or your dad, but this is my husband, and this is what I'm supposed to do. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to argue with anybody, and I don't think they'll mess with me.
I don't think so either.
But it's important.
It is.
Maybe Kobe said, hey.
I told them, first of all, I was driving, and then they text me and was like, Beyonce was opening up the funeral, and I was like, oh, he really is somebody. If the Queen Bee is the one making it, and it was so, watching her, like the passion and the way she did that. But I said, this is a teachable moment. It's a teachable moment about the cliche statements that we make about life is too short to be holding bridges. It really is. Or to be, it's funny, like, cause I don't know, I'm always like going in my head about certain things with the purpose of figuring out how I can work on my toxic traits, right? Yeah. So I'm like, we always talk about how we need to let stuff go, right? But why don't we just focus on not making stuff happen, or like hurting people, or not giving room and space, because you really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm the type of person, I always say, what you did in life, you need to do in death. So like, if you was creeping with somebody when they was alive, don't come out talking about you was creeping with them now because they passed away.
Right.
Or if we didn't have a good relationship, or you wasn't talking to me, don't shoot up today. That might trigger me. Like, I don't do stuff. I don't believe in that. But that's why I always say we really have to find a way to love each other unconditionally, without limits.
But the thing is that for me, I've lost friends in high school. I've lost people. And I've lost a lot of people before, not even 1 year before my grandma passed, but to watch my mom take her last breath, that was something that
changes you.
It literally sucked the life out of me. And it does change you. It really does. And sometimes I get to the point, like, I'm like, okay, I don't have the energy for this. I can't get that time back. I can't get that. That arguing with you, I talked to my sister-in-law today, and she's like, I'm so sorry, and you didn't ever do anything to me, and I just, you and Kevin, and I'm like, dude, you didn't want to talk to me, okay,
but
I told her, let's move on from here though. I love you and I appreciate you calling me.
Let's evolve from this. Because sometimes we have these we have a chat group, right? And so we'll have conversation starters. So one of the conversation starters was, what do you think about them not letting the parents speak? And I was like, I had a verbal conversation with one of them and was like, how do you know they didn't want to? How do you know when they had the private burial that they didn't run that? Like, who are we? Like, but that's what the internet has done to us. It has gave everybody an opinion. Everybody got a platform. Everybody want to, and it desensitizes your thought process to the reality of what the hell you're saying. Like, you can't tell me shit. Like, if I tell my kids, they know. It's also a teachable moment in that way too, that tell me what you want. Don't be afraid to have those conversations. Don't dress me up and blow me up so people can walk by and be like, she didn't look like she did. Of course not. I'm dead. Like, I'm not gonna look the same. And I'm like, just bury me and have a memorial service, and don't let hella people get up there. I love what you did, and that I encouraged my mom, my sisters, and I did when we buried my brother. Pick people, so that you can control that space. It's already draining enough to have to deal with everybody else's opinions. And so I'm like, keep it classy in life and in death, and then you don't got to worry about that kind of stuff. And
but
then,
even with like your mom, even when I'm like, I want her to read the cards, but I wanted to make sure that she was strong enough to get up there and speak. Like, that really touched my heart. But it was important for me to say, are you okay with that? Are you sure? Because I did not want to be like, put her on the spot and make her feel like
she was obligated.
But she speaks so well. My Aunt Lamika, she eulogized my mom because she speaks so well. Like, it was important for me to have people that I knew that would be strong enough to be up there and say, this is what I need to say, and this is what it is. You know what I mean? I didn't want all that hooping and hollering and falling down. No, I did lose it a little bit, but I'm just saying, people make things about them.
They do. Ooh, child, listen. They do. They do. With Angel Mothers, we deal with funerals, funeral homes, burial. Like, we deal a lot with that, and that's what has shaped my opinions and feelings about how to conduct yourself when there's a loss, and why I talk to my kids about it now, because I done seen mothers shut out wives shut out mothers. I done seen obituaries where people left off, obituaries of people on there that shouldn't even be on there, but they paid for it.
I literally had somebody call me and say, why you didn't put my son, her godson, and I'm like,
My bad.
Because this is my mom.
Right.
And I don't have to do that. And this
Right.
is the wrong time. People will make everything about them. I've had conversations with people where they have talked so bad about this person, and literally like 2 days after the person has died, and they're like at the funeral falling out. And I'm
Yeah. I even got to the point. No, for real.
Yeah.
Like for real. Like I didn't see it.
Yeah. I've had a conversation with Joe and my children. What do you want? I don't want anything. I don't want none of that. I just want you to
I'm the same way.
I'm done. I don't want a memorial. I don't want any of that. My dad, he doesn't want any of that, and my husband doesn't want any of that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it's
people are starting to do that.
Yeah.
You're starting to see that more.
And then you're seeing people in the caskets on the internet, and listen,
girl throwing up the peace sign in they dead body state. No.
When I was on Airport State Body the other
slapped.
day, we were talking about Oxy and we were talking about drugs and stuff, me and some of the girls in there. And I said something about Prince, and I looked at the images, and there was a picture of him dead on the ground, and I had never seen it before, and it blew my mind. And I'm like, there's no sacred place for anything.
Nope.
And you know, that's my guy.
I know.
I was like,
that's horrible.
Oh, it was terrible, but there's no sacred place.
It's just like when Nipsey, you know, we was texting when that happened.
Yeah.
So I see the notification, and of course you go on Facebook and the internet, and as soon as I went on there, like somebody had posted the video of this man laying on the ground bleeding out, and I'm like, that cannot be. That can't be Nipsey, because I don't think that somebody would disrespect him like that.
Yeah.
But it was, and it's like, I struggle sometimes because I be wanting to go off, like, you know, act a real fool. Like,
the evolution of the camera and the phones and iPad, it has destroyed people. It has people.
They don't even help you. You should be helping, not recording.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible.
When the boys on 8 Mile Road somebody sent me a video of the car on fire, and someone was videotaping it, and I watched it 3 times before I realized that the driver was still alive. He was in there burning alive. And I'm like, how can you stand there? Even though you can't do anything, how can you stand there and listen to that baby wail like that and videotape it?
That is so crazy.
And you know what it triggered? Markel.
Oh, yeah.
It triggered it, and I was like, oh my God, I just can't imagine.
Even just with home feeding, like a lot of stuff that we do, I be like, don't take pictures.
Yeah.
Like we don't do that, a lot of that no more. A lot of it, we don't capture it in photos anymore because it's just, it's too much.
It's gone too far.
Yeah, it's gone too far. That's a good way to put it. Like, how would I don't know how I would feel when I had the baby and the baby passed away, if somebody came in with a camera and was like recording it or want to take pictures of my lifeless child. Like, I don't know, like it's not trauma informed. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's not trauma informed.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like, every day when you talk about grief and all of that, like, you have to be anchored. Like, you literally got to be anchored and steadfast in what it is that you believe and what you do and how you function. The last thing that I wanted to chat about is, so even in you speaking about your sons and speaking about grief, about your requests and how you were really present and just anchored in what you feel. And it's like, as you get older, you know, for me, especially, I'm gonna be 41 in a couple of weeks here, and I just was like, one day, like maybe a week ago, I woke up and I was like, it feels good to be able to really be your authentic self, like to be able to just be who you are and not feel restricted or limited by what the world says or what a circle of people says. Like, really just coming into this space of understanding that manifestation is real, and whatever you want or whatever you want to do or wherever you want to go, like, you control that. And a lot of times, like, for a long time, you know me, I wasn't like that. Like, I was very accessible and very like available to it all, and I'm just like, so I want to know what you thought about that.
But for me, the not being accessible part has been great for me, Because I remember having a conversation with my Aunt Pepper, and I'm like, well, everybody calls me, like something happens, or people call me and say I need to get a hold of this person's in the hospital, this person, and she was like, because everybody can access you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to